And I got the idea because I was inspired by basically just the difference between the photography studios that are able to get people on the phone and the ones that aren't. And a lot of times they're all equally talented, but it's my controversial opinion that we as photographers are completely ghosting our clients and not the other way around. Okay. So by the end of this, you guys are going to find out exactly. I'm going to show you like the back end. I'm going to show you some pages. I'm going to show you the text messages that go out. I'm going to show you the results that you guys can go implement yourself. You don't need any fancy software to do it. You might need some extra time if you don't have software. But this is going to greatly increase the amount of consults and people you actually get on the phone, and you're going to get a lot more people to reply. Okay. So I'm going to give you the exact text message that you can send at first. I'm going to tell you when to send it and like what to attach to it. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you it's going to be like two things you need to add to your thank you page when people take action that is going to greatly increase the amount of people that respond to you. Okay. And it's going to help improve conversions, because at the end of this is all about bookings, right? But there's steps to this. The other thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you an email that we send about 7 minutes after people inquire. This email is one of the most responded to, and it gets people to take action. And you're going to see why. You're going to be like, oh, no kidding. That's why. And then there's one golden rule you guys are going to have to follow, that if you don't follow this, I mean, you're basically going to just water down all your results, and you're just kind of giving money away by not booking people. Okay. So again, I'm seeing right now that about 80% of the people watching this are full-time photographers. Another 15% are pro, and then very few hobbyists. And it's okay, regardless of where you are, but I'm confident that if you guys follow this, your full-time photography studios are going to get busier. You're going to have more bookings. And then if you're part-time, it's going to help you kind of bridge the gap and transition. Okay. So let's get into it. I'm Humberto Garcia, and if you guys don't know me, I am a Special Operations Marine deployed multiple times to Afghanistan and Iraq. I joined when I was 18, got out when I was 28 a couple of years ago. And in the last 7 years, is it 7 years now? Yeah, 7 years since I got out, I started my marketing agency, Photography to Profits. I connected with Jen Bruno Smith through prospecting, and I partnered with her to basically launch the High Rollers Club as it is now. And if you guys know, this is our flagship coaching program for photographers, and Jen teaches all the studio stuff. I teach all of the digital marketing because that's what I do. And then I also co-founded Meet Nikki with Jen, and this is our all-in-one tool that we use for photography studios to follow up. So when it comes to what to implement, I mean, I have basically the numbers, and I have data from the almost 1,000 students we have in our masterminds, from the hundreds of students in Meet Nikki or clients, and then, the hundreds of clients I've had through Photography to Profit. So everything I'm teaching you is a lot of what we are doing right now. So nothing is old, I'm not hiding anything from you guys. But I want you guys to implement this because I do want you guys to increase your leads and that book. So throughout everything I do, I'm focused on three main parts of the business, right? I'm focused on attracting more clients, right? That's Google ads, Facebook ads, all the good stuff, right? Like getting people to inquire with you and getting eyeballs. I'm also interested in conversions, which is what this training is going to be about. I want you guys to not only get a lot of leads, but I want you to convert those. And then with Jen, we are focused on client sales, right? So you get 10 bookings. It's great if they're $1,000 a piece, but wouldn't it be a lot greater if you were at $4,500 a piece, right? You're making 4.45 times as much money for basically the same amount of work. But in order to get those sales, you have to convert clients. And that's really what we're going to focus on here. Okay. So in the past, I have talked to a lot of photographers, and I still work with a lot of photographers. And one of the biggest things people say is that they just don't know what to send. And that is basically the biggest problem people have, is I just don't know what to send. Even though when we talk in circles or when we talk in groups, we know what to send, right? We're supposed to send stories. We're supposed to send social proof information on how the sessions work, answer frequently asked questions. But when it comes time to type them out in some sort of sequence, we just freeze and we don't do anything. And I'm going to help you streamline that and just kind of give you a bullet point checklist. I'm going to even give you what to write for some of your emails. Okay. And what we really need to have when we're working on this is we need to have a conversion mindset. And that means that we're not just focused on the lead generation, but as much focus and effort we put into our photography. A lot of you guys are badass photographers. If you guys can, by the way, can you guys share your websites in the chat? I want to see some of your work after this. And I mean, I know some of you guys want to network and you guys will see where people are, but yeah, some of you guys are badass photographers and put so much work into the photography side, but very little work into following up, right? So we get all these leads, we do all this networking, we do all this SEO work, and then we barely follow up. Okay. And that's what we're going to fix with our conversion mindset. Okay. So follow-up is going to be a priority. And when we do this, leads are actually going to respond, or a bigger fraction of them. Your stress is going to drop because you're going to have more bookings. Things are going to become more predictable, right? Because you're not going to go, weeks without booking people, especially if you already have leads. Your revenue is going to increase, and then follow-up becomes fun because you start getting into the mindset that you need to get no's from people. You need to get answers from people. I'd rather have, if you get 100 inquiries in a 2-month span, 3 months, whatever the month span is, I rather have 80 of those tell you no and 20 of them tell you yes than having like 5 yeses and like 95 maybes. You need to get people to tell you no, because when you do that, you're going to get the other 15 extra bookings to tell you yes. And that's what we're going to focus on. So we are going to focus on number 1, the conversion experience, right? Because a lot of times in our mind, we have it that like when leads inquire, they are supposed to answer all our phone calls and respond to our emails and just be these like perfect little robots that go through our funnel. And that's not the case. We're going to focus on automated email and text, but just keep in mind, even if you don't have an automation tool, you can absolutely use, free things like your Gmail. You can use Zapier. You can use text message. You can do this on a budget. It just might take more time from you, or you might need an assistant. And then the other thing we're going to focus on is calling leads and getting them on the phone, because ultimately, unless you're selling things on like a $99 sale, $50 sale, you're not going to get a lot of, most of us aren't dealing with checkouts like a e-commerce store. We're actually having to talk to people, at least at some point. Even if they do like that, you're going to have to get them at some point. Okay. So most photographers wing it. Okay. So I have seen studios that have told me, hey, when a lead comes in, they basically just, whenever they get a chance, they email them this template in their Gmail. Okay. They might call them once. Maybe most studios that have not worked with the High Rollers Club, you guys have, some of you are guilty of this even before joining the High Rollers Club, any of our masterminds. People don't call. And there's good reason for it, because if you're getting a bunch of no's or people aren't answering, then it's kind of like demoralizing, right? And the reason, one of the biggest reasons people are getting no's is because there's so much time between the moment that they inquire to the moment that you call them or email them back. And there's just so much time, and like the iron's not hot anymore, and you're not striking when it's hot. So that really is lowering our conversion rate. Okay. We're afraid to leave voicemails. I'm going to tell you what you can leave in voicemails as well. And we basically label all of these leads as being poor quality. Okay. So I'm seeing here that about 45% of people that just answered the last question, they say that almost everything's manual, 47%. 16% say that barely, but they try. So it's not very automated, but they try. That's better than nothing. And then 36% say, yes, it is all automated. Okay. So pretty good mixture of there, but most people are on the not at all or barely. And when that happens, we basically get poor results and confusion, right? Because we don't know what to troubleshoot. Like, is it our ads? Is it the lead? Is it, the market? Is it the stock market? Is it the jobs market? Is it, Grandpa Joe Biden? We don't know, because we're not following up with people. And because we're not, and the lead quality is basically degrading, it's just becoming lower quality over time, right? From your contact points, we start troubleshooting everything. So you might have a campaign that was working, and then you just stop believing in it. And it's really hard to troubleshoot when your follow-up and basically your phone consults are not good. Okay. So we're going to fix that. Okay. And how do we fix that? And for me, I'm a big advocate of like, I always look at who's doing the best, who's winning at this. Okay. And I might look at other markets. Now I have so much data with photographers. I work with so many photographers that I kind of see, a lot of the similarities between the super successful. And at the beginning, basically, they plan every step. Okay. We focus on the experience. They use a lot of video. They automate as much as they can, and they make sure that leads know exactly what the next step is. So what does that mean, right? When someone's coming from the journey of even having the idea of having a session with us, there's a lot going on, right? They might come in for newborn, maternity, boudoir. They might come in for like bridal boudoir. You have to focus on, okay, when this person's coming in, what are the biggest issues that they're having? What are the biggest objections, fears? Do they know what the next steps are on my website? Do they know exactly how to book with me, right? So we need to focus on that conversion experience. Basically, every single transaction, every single form submission that you have is a one-on-one communication between you and them. A lot of times we set things up and we think that we set up our website and it's meant to broadcast to 800 people over the month. That's not true, because every single person that picks up their phone, every single person that goes onto your website, it's one person logging in, independently reading through your copy, reading through your site, reading through your calls to actions, and making the decision. Okay. So on your website, you need to have multiple calls to action. You need to make it very clear and obvious what it is that is going to happen, what the next steps are to work with you, what the process is going to look like, right? So they're not just guessing. And I actually brought up 2 examples. I actually messaged Amy and I asked her, I said, can I show your website? Because she has an exit pop-up. This is one of the newest landing page builds. Not only does she have absolutely beautiful work, she has video, she stands out, she fully highlights and embraces what separates her from others, right? Like, how does she stand out? Well, one thing is she solves a problem of having just this unlimited, endless closet of corsets, wings, props, lingerie sets, and they handle everything for them, right? So one of the biggest reasons people don't book, they're answering in the forefront. They're doing it through their ads. They're showing that through their website. They're showing that on the phone consults, all their follow-up, okay? They're using a lot of social proof. If you guys see a lot of our students in the mastermind, a lot of the clients I have that we do builds for, I mean, we show a lot of social proof. People want what other people have. And if you can solve other people's problems, like-minded people, they'll see the same. One thing I absolutely love that we're starting to add is a retouching before and after. Drop a 1 if you guys think this is amazing. Amy is one of the first people to let us do this, but drop a 1 if you think that's awesome. Depending on what platform you're on, I recommend maybe adding something like this. Before and after transformations, an absolute must. And, even showing like what you want to sell, right? A lot of times I get photographers that tell me, I get all these low quality leads. They had no idea they had to buy prints. They had no idea I do wall art. And my question is, do you show that at all? Or all your images digital? Are you showing that in your testimonials? Are you showing that in your mock-ups, on your website, on your follow-up, on your ads? And they just have so much social proof. You can imagine like they are going to get a lot of inquiries. Okay. So really good example. It's very clear to see exactly the buttons stand out. They have multiple calls to action all over their site. They're just a really good example. And even if you don't want to do that, they have their phone number. They have, they have a chat bot. They're getting inquiries every which way possible. Okay. So make it very easy to understand what the next steps are, what makes you special, and, what to do. Tell people what's going to happen. Let's see, put conversion options on every page of your site. That's one mistake a lot of people make, is they don't put forms on every page of their site. And if I go through some of our clients, I can see that people are inquiring from every single page, the FAQ page, the about page, the blogs. They're inquiring basically from anywhere. So you want to make sure that you're not wasting page clicks, because a lot of people won't visit a lot of pages. You want people to inquire. So you need to make it very obvious, kind of like that slide. Okay, so now they've inquired. Okay, they have inquired. And I'm actually going to ask you guys a question for this one is how many inquiries do you guys get per week, right? Because this process is going to be very different depending on like where you are in business, right? Because if you get very few inquiries, right? I'm seeing a lot of zeros, a lot of 1 through 5. If you're getting a lot of or very few inquiries, every single inquiry becomes that much more powerful. So everything I'm saying to you becomes more magnified, right? When I'm working with a studio, it gets 3 to 8 inquiries a day, and their stuff isn't perfect. They don't want thank you videos. They don't, they can get away with it, right? Because basically they just have sheer numbers. So even if a smaller percentage of people, get on the phone, they can get away with it. Of course, I would love for them to call instantly, like follow all the principles I'm teaching. But if you only get 1 to 5 inquiries a week and half of them ghost you, or you ghost half of them, like I'm suggesting you are, then you're going to suffer the consequences way more than the studio getting 20 plus. There's a couple of people getting 20 plus, 10 to 20, but the majority are getting 0 to 5. So what happens next? And again, this is extremely important from those people 0 to 1 to 5. And obviously even more important for the people getting more, because, that's more profit represented. All right. This is the reality. The reality is that your clients are 100% real people. They're busy. And for the most part, they really do not prioritize you. And for good reason, right? Like I'm a dad. I have work to do. I have my daughter to take care of. I tutor my daughter. I have my parents show up at my house. I hang out with friends. There are so many things that I'm doing that once I inquire, if you do not contact me immediately, or you don't continuously contact me, you are not going to get a sale. And this is true for basically everyone. And you guys tell me, like, what is your life situation? A lot of you guys are business owners. Some of you guys that are part-time have other businesses and are at work half the day. So this is happening the same with all the inquiries you guys have. They're laying in bed, they're multitasking on their way to work, they're sitting in traffic inquiring with you. We reach out one time and then we think they're bad leads, but in reality, they're just normal people, okay? So the most important time to follow up is within the first 5 minutes, because the moment they inquire, that's when their interest level was like super, super high. That was when they had the highest amount of interest in whatever you're selling, right? Boudoir, any genre. And you guys tell me, like, do you guys have part-time jobs? Are you guys busy with work? Can you see how this would be the case for you, not just your boudoir clients or your newborn maternity, okay? And I'm going to share those results that I just got for that last poll. So somebody inquired, they're real life people, they're busy. Why would you stand out, right? And most of them, a lot of them, especially if maybe they came from Google, they might have inquired with several different people. So why would you stand out? Why would you think that of all these websites they didn't bookmark, that they went and hit the submit button? Hopefully they hit your submit button along with, maybe 1 or 2 other. Why would you stand out? And you guys saw, like with Amy, right? We use video. She has impeccable branding, right? Chris is another good example. I mean, this is a current redesign we did a couple weeks ago. I mean, does this stand out to you, right? Is it easy to understand what's happening? Would the reviews stand out to you, right? Obviously you can meet the photographer. Do you remember Chris? Is it more likely that you're going to remember him because of his before and afters? And then the same thing with Amy, right? And the video testimonials. A lot of these going through a rough breakup, someone who is unbelievably nervous, right? So all those same concepts, but on top of that, on top of just the branding, the feel, what makes the studio special, like, do you have industry leading work? Are you solving people's problems? Do you have an X factor that you can highlight, kind of like Amy's closets? And you need to highlight that through all your follow-up, through your phone consults, through your text messages. And you can also do that with your reviews and testimonials, okay? But you need to be quick, because remember, they're probably, inquiring with a lot of other people. And even if you're super talented, there's a lot of other talented people. And it's my position that if you are not the first person to contact them, the first expert, the first person to like have a consult and really listen to them, somebody else is going to do it. And even if that person is not as good as you, they're not going to like you or know you or trust you as much as the other person. That's ultimately what people are picking on. Okay. So you need to stand out. So it's not enough. Once they inquire, you need to contact them as quickly as possible. And hopefully when they got on the phone with you, you had all of these elements in your branding on your landing pages through your experience to make sure that you got the inquiry. And I'm even going to show you. So the example and the person that like kind of inspired this, I think they told me they've had 9 book sessions, newborn and maternity. She was actually one of our first newborn maternity mastermind students, and she actually volunteered to be the demo. So she's actually our demo student. And one thing that's really increased everything is just adding a simple thank you video that explains exactly what's going to happen. They get a text message within a couple seconds. They get an email, and she's just outlining very simply who she is, what's about to happen, and that's it. Nothing super complicated. Don't need to have, it's only a 20-second video. And then she tells them, hey, the next thing you can do, you can either schedule right here or I'll be calling you. And you'd be surprised. Let me actually pull this up. These are the leads starting today and going back. I can click on almost every single one of these, and almost every single person has replied, scheduled a consult, replied, scheduled a consult, replied, scheduled a consult. One person canceled, replied. I mean, since putting that video up and since making the couple tweaks I'm showing you, and by the way, she just moved over to Meet Nikki. All of this is on Meet Nikki, which again, you can do this all manually yourself. You can see that all these leads, she's getting a tremendous amount of leads because she's super talented. She's running paid advertising like we teach in our masterminds. This is the only lead who hasn't responded or scheduled their own consult in the last couple of days out of like the dozen I've just shown you. Okay. Consult complete, replied, and consult complete. Okay. So this is not by accident, right? Every single step of this was, looked at. And the money really is in the follow-up, because a lot of people, what reporting tool was that? But that is Meet Nikki, by the way, guys. I'll give you guys a link at the end of this. If you guys want a 30-day trial, I have all the templates. So I'm going to give you what to send. I'm going to show you what's in the templates. But if you just want me to like import this into your accounts, like I'll let you do it. That's for you, Kelly. Kelly just asked. Okay, the money is in the follow-up, because the money is not sitting on the dashboard, right? Like you have to talk to all these people. So the money is in the follow-up. Let's see. Stop sharing. Okay, so we got those answers. Okay, so how are you going to follow up? My suggestion is that you, number one, be super consistent and you prioritize email. And email is great because it's very inexpensive. You can do this through almost any program. There's a million. We use Meet Nikki because it's super powerful and we can do texting at the same time. It's usually pretty inoffensive. So, it's not that crazy, compared to text message. You can basically email people like almost every day the first week when they inquire. You can't text them every single day, right? So it's usually pretty inoffensive compared to other things. Super high leverage. You write one thing and you spend a little bit of time, writing a story, sharing some reviews, sharing some FAQs, and you write that one time. And from now on, forever, every single person that inquires with you gets it. So for the amount of time and the output that you get, super powerful. And again, you can use Flowdesk makes beautiful things. MailChimp is super easy. Gmail plus Zapier. You can even do Gmail. You can even set up a Zap that when somebody submits a form on your Tabe, Dipsada, whatever you're using, you can set a Zap that'll send an email from your Gmail. So super easy. If you do nothing else, I suggest at least doing that. Okay. Of course, I'd prefer you to use something a little bit more powerful, but you definitely want to email. I'm going to show you guys what to email as well. Texting. Super high open rates. Almost all the replies I just showed you guys, almost all of them are from texting. Okay. It's very personal. You get into their phone, very high response rate. Okay. Paid versions of this, there's probably so many of them. The ones that I'm most familiar with are Meet Nikki. I like it because it integrates with text. But in the past, up until I started using Meet Nikki, I used to use ActiveCampaign and Haymarket. ActiveCampaign for emails, and I used Haymarket for text. The only bad thing was well, those tools are super powerful and I absolutely love them for what they do. They didn't work super well together. So when somebody booked on Haymarket, they called, it just wouldn't like cross across each other. Okay. So that was the only downside. You get super powerful tools, but they're not all in one. Okay. But there's also a drawback to all in one, right? All in one, might not be be able to compete on every single one of those aspects, but it can get close and all your leads are kind of stacked on top of each other, right? So if you're communicating with them with one, you're communicating through both. And then you can obviously use free iMessage and Android message, but you just have to be super fast, have a dedicated person like with an Excel spreadsheet if you're doing this manually. But even if you had to pay somebody like $10 an hour to do this, $15 an hour, which is probably not a 2023 wage, you're going to get such a huge return on investment. Jennifer says that looks exactly like Go High Level. It actually is. It's our branded version of it. It actually is probably less expensive than you going to go get your own accounts and having to pay for text messages and emails. So you basically get the benefit of our support. You get the benefit of all our templates, and you basically get almost the exact same cost with just it's more powerful just because, it's on our templates. And yeah, you basically get every advanced feature for almost the exact same price. So social media platforms, I will say this is one thing that I was about to delete from this presentation because most people don't think of it like this, but I know a lot of you guys have Facebook groups. By the way, let me know in the comments if you guys have Facebook groups, if you guys use Facebook groups. Does anyone use Facebook groups? I'll also be answering Q&A at the end. So if you guys want, you can drop your questions and answers in there. One thing I say about Facebook groups is some of you guys are so good at Facebook groups. And to me, the biggest way to monetize them is through direct message. So direct message is almost identical to text messaging, right? And for some people, they're more on social media more than they are on like their regular SMS. And you can see a picture, you can kind of see their profile. So I actually think it's almost more powerful than text message. It's free. And I suggest some of you guys do so well on Facebook groups. If you guys treated your TikTok, your Instagram, your Reels, like all that, the way you guys do your Facebook groups, you guys would make so much more money. And what do I mean? That means when you guys get Facebook group members, you should have 3 questions leading up to your group, right? You should be able to take those questions, get emails, get phone numbers, and put them into your CRM. I love doing that because most people don't think of those leads as real leads. But in reality, if someone goes to your website and submits your lead form and you value that and you follow up with them super quickly, like why wouldn't you do the same thing if somebody came to your dedicated boudoir or newborn group, put their email in, told you a little bit about themselves, and then joined your group, right? They've kind of shown interest. So I suggest, and it's the same thing for Instagram and, TikTok. If people are following you, if they're commenting on you, like, why would you not reach out and have conversations with them? Okay. You're able to link your pages. You can, get emails from people. You can do like link in bio. You can link people to your scheduler. It's a super good way to basically communicate with people almost as you would with text. Okay. So highly suggest some of you guys have groups connected to your thank you pages. Connect with all those people as if they were like you were texting them. Okay. It's almost like a better texting mechanism just because like your profile is attached to it. And where text message, you're kind of just looking at like a phone number. Okay. Lastly, we need to pick up the phone. One of the biggest misconceptions that people have is that they'll basically say something like, well, if they don't call me or respond to me, then they're not interested. They're not my ideal client. And that is not true at all. A couple years ago, I bought one of my dream cars, which was a Mercedes Roadster. It's a beautiful white car, convertible. I live in Miami. I just had to have it. And I was looking for cars all over the country. I inquired with a bunch of different places. All right. I'm on the Car Gurus just looking. And of course, like I'm working 7 to 7, right? Like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I'm like working out before 7 a.m. I'm picking up my daughter halfway through the day. I'm cooking dinner. I was single at the time. And there was one dealership in New York City that kept calling me every single day. They would call me, and it was, I'm not going to lie, it was a little bit annoying. He would call, text message me, leave me a voicemail, call, text message, leave a voicemail. One day I was walking to pick up my daughter. So I'm walking to pick her up. So I'm not with her yet. He like called me at the exact right time. It's like 3:15 or something like that. And I pick up. And of course, he starts telling me about the car. He asked me, when I'm in the market for it, if I want to fly up and see it. I bought the car and flew and picked it up like over the weekend. And I wouldn't have done that if he wouldn't have called me the other 6 times, right? Because I expressed interest. I had never replied to him. And some of you guys, I mean, tell me the truth in the comments. Do you guys think that's overkill? Do you think it's overkill that he called me that many times? I'm waiting for some answers. No. Caitlin says no. Yes, yes, yes. And I'll tell you why I don't think it's overkill. I don't think it's overkill because I showed interest and I said, yes, I want this thing, right? Because when you fill out those forms on those things, you have to say, here's my phone number, contact me. I want information on pricing. If I would have responded to him even once, because he texted me a bunch of times, emailed me and called me and left me voicemails and would have told him, nope, I don't want it. He never would have called me again. He would have said, thank you so much for your response. We're around. Keep us in mind, right? He would have never contacted me again. And I could have gotten him off my back. And in all reality, I kind of had an open door because I never said no to him. It wasn't until that one time, it was so perfect. It was a perfect time for me that I answered the phone. And then, of course, since I'd expressed interest and we aligned on pricing, we aligned on the color and everything, then I said yes. So same thing with you and your clients. You guys are looking for no's from your inquiries. I'd rather you guys have 100 people inquire, get 80 no's and 20 yeses, than to have 100 inquiries, 0 no's, just a bunch of maybes because you never really followed up with anybody, and then 5 yeses, right? You're going to get those 3 times the bookings, 4 times the bookings when you actually focus on getting the no's and crossing people off, labeling them. Hey, this person's a no. I can move on. And now I can focus on the people that are not no's yet or are my clients. Okay. So 5x7 rule, we need to follow up, right? Money's in the follow-up, but it's especially in the calls. So what we need to do, the 5x7 rule is super simple. You're going to call them back in 5 minutes. There's no exceptions to this. I don't care if you have 20 kids. I don't care if you have 20 jobs. If you don't do this, you're just like reducing the chances of people booking you. And it's not a big deal. I don't do it all the time, but I just know that when studios do, you're going to get more bookings. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to call people back 5 times in the first 7 days. And here's how I suggest you guys call. This is the cadence for the calling. You're going to call, leave a voicemail. Then you're going to send a text message. You can just make a template, right? In Meet Nikki, you can just go in there, write a template and like fill it in with their username and everything. It'll say something like, hey, it's blank from here. I just called. This is my number. I'm going to call you back, or you can respond to this text. A lot of people will just say, hey, I'm busy. Call me back later. And then perfect, blank. At least you got another touch point. You can call them back later. But a lot of people, when you call them back that second time, they're going to say, hey, I didn't know who it was the first time. Thanks for calling me back. Okay. Because remember, they took action. You're not just calling people from the yellow pages who have no idea what you do. Okay. So I even suggest if you want to, you can even send that text message first. If you know that you're going to text them, you can just send that text message real quick, wait 20 seconds, and then call them. But it's up to you. You can test it and play around with it. You're also going to call leads every 7 days in the first month, right? So after the first week, they haven't answered. You're just going to call once every 7 days. So you get a no or a yes. And then after that, you're going to call them back once a month. Okay. This is like picture perfect, like the studio that's like rocking on all cylinders, right? Like imagine the photographer that's like the master of light and is flawless. This is that, but for follow-up, obviously, there's like levels to this. So the most impactful one I think you can do, if you don't do any of the others, is call back in 5 minutes. After that, it's calling back, multiple times in that first week, and then doing that call pattern I just showed you guys. Do you guys think you guys can do that call pattern? Is that too much, or do you think you can do it? Or yeah, let me know if you think you can do it. Okay, I'm getting some yeses. And again, if for some studios, a lot of you guys put that you guys are only getting 1 to 5 leads. So it should be manageable, right? Obviously, if you get 5 to 10 leads over extended periods of week, like your list is going to be huge. It'd be really hard for this photographer to follow up with every single person, right? Like you can imagine they've gotten this many leads every week before, right? So that's why a lot of this does have to be automated once you get to a certain level, right? But you probably wouldn't mind it if you had $4,000 average sale, right? Now each one is worth that to you. You're going to put a lot more effort into it. Okay. So we talked about it. You're going to leave voicemails. You're going to call leads. And the biggest thing is that I'm going to ask you to refer to the last action they did. So if they filled out a form, and a lot of times we put something where they can write something, right? Like, why do you want to do this? Tell us a little bit about yourself. I'll call back, and I suggest you call back. You can do it one of 2 ways. The first way is you'll just call and you'll say something like, hey, Janet, you're talking to her like she's just your friend, right? It's almost like a friend's calling. Hey, Janet. Yes, this is Janet. Hey, Janet, I'm calling because you just inquired on my website. I saw here that you're expecting twins in August. Are you free to talk right now? This is Bob Sacamano, right? Whoever. And they'll say yes or no, but at least they're going to, number one, acknowledge who they were at first. And they're going to know 100% undeniably that you are somebody that they can trust, right? Because you're basically giving them back information that you had. So you can work on that. Hey, Janet. Kind of that like intuition, almost like you're like expecting them to answer. Yes, this is Janet. Hey, Janet, I'm calling you back because I saw you were about to you just got engaged and wanted to do a bridal session for your husband, Trevor. Is now a good time to talk? Continue. So call back and refer to the action they took, and make sure that they know who you are. Okay. Okay. So let's get into it. And the other way I would say is you can just jump into it. Hey, Janet, I'm calling because you did this, and you kind of skip that hey, Janet part, play around with it. I do think that, someone just said, I would never ask if they have 5 minutes to talk or if now is a good time. Play around with it. I'll tell you that if they don't, I would just immediately say, hey, I'll call you tomorrow at basically set the next touch point, or, text them. If they don't answer, I told you guys, text them, tell them you're going to call, and then dial back in 20 seconds. And actually, I'm not even sharing my screen anymore. Okay. So remember, people book photographers that they like, know, and trust. And most importantly, the person that made the most recent contact when it's time to book. I think a couple of years ago, it was like 2020. One of my best friends was a mortgage lender. I had gone to dinner with him 8 months before. He's not one of my best friends, but he's like one of like my best friends. And we always talk on Instagram. He replies to everything. And I was buying a house, and I posted on Instagram when like I was closing on a deal or something like that. And he basically said something like, hey, like, why the heck didn't you use me? And I basically said, dude, I completely forgot. I know we talk about this all the time, but I completely forgot. I went with somebody else nearby. They were referred. And he was like, dude, like, what the hell? And I told him, I was like, dude, like, how am I supposed to remember? I have so much going on. I have like so much going on in my life. I don't mean to offend you, but I just hadn't heard from you in a long time. I hadn't seen you post anything. I just wasn't reminded. And when it came time, like, I just completely forgot. And this probably happens to a lot of people. And it happens for a lot of you guys. You guys are friends with people on Facebook and you think they should, come to you. But like, if you're not contacting them, if you're not the last person that contacted them with recency, probably not going to have a lot of luck. By the way, we have a special guest. Kristen, is your mic on? Can you talk?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi.
So I asked Kristen, she is the student demo, and I asked her to come on for a couple minutes because she just recently switched over to Meet Nikki and completely changed up her marketing strategy. She agreed to like make all these crazy website changes that a lot of people might not agree to. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, you guys can drop them. We have her for 5 to 10 minutes. She's super busy. But Kristen, tell me, what's it like the last 2 weeks, just having all the inquiries, and like what like kind of hurdles did you have when they first started coming in?
The hurdles that I had were just getting my automations down, but you helped a lot with that. We had our automations in progress. So once we had all that, getting to the leads, they started to like trickle in, and now they're really coming in strong. And so I will go into Meet Nikki. I probably go in there like 3 times a day, like morning, noon, and then later, because you really have to stay on top of them in order to get people rolling. Because once they inquire, like they're hot. So you have to reach out to them right away. So that's what I do. So people, what I loved most is that on my website, we installed a quiz form, and in the quiz form, they have the opportunity to complete the quiz, get $100 off the session, and then schedule an appointment. And a lot of people just they do schedule the appointment. So then what I do is I reach out and I say, hey, I saw you scheduled an appointment. That's awesome. I want to make sure I have availability for your due date. When are you due? And then they respond back, and then and I'll be like, oh, great. If I have an opening, I'll say, oh, I have one opening. And can you chat today? These go within 24 to 48 hours. That's been working pretty well. And then I get on the phone with them right away. And I mean, of course, there's some people, there's a lot of no's, but there's a lot of yeses. And the people that are no's, it's like, they're not meant for me. That's fine. Goodbye. And I pay attention to the yeses.
Yeah. So, I mean, just before when I asked you to jump on last minute, you told me you'd booked 9 of 9 within the first 11 days, which to me, that's a huge amount for a newborn and maternity. Like that is huge. I mean, I know at the beginning, right, it was a little bit to get the ball rolling, but like what tweaks did you make? Because a lot of this is like making tweaks. It's not just like doing one thing and then it works forever. It's like,
yeah, no, I go by 2 things. Like I go by timing and being available to these people immediately when they reach out. And then I also kind of follow their lead and go by instinct. Like if they're ready to talk, I'm ready to talk. If they want to wait a few hours, I'll wait a few hours. I'm really accommodating with them. And, I think it's just now tweaking the script, making sure here's one thing, the discovery part has been huge. Like my whole script has changed in the sense we talked about this 2 weeks ago. Like I spend the first 5 to 8 minutes just listening, asking questions and listening to them. And I used to not do that as much anymore at all. So I do that. And then they're doing all the talking. And then I'm like, oh, okay, well, this sounds like you'd be a good fit. So can I tell you how I can tell you about the process and how to reserve the session? So then we start talking about that. So it's just been a process of getting people while they're hot, getting back to them right away, tweaking your script. If something's not working, try something else. And really, really like listening to them and paying attention to what they need and like assuring them you will give it to them.
Somebody said, what kind of questions do you ask when you talk to them?
I ask them, I start with, I ask them for permission first. And then I say, what makes you want to have a newborn session? Have you always wanted to have a newborn session? And then I ask, what's most important to you for the outcome? And then I ask, how do you envision, everyone wants digital images. We all have digital images. How do you envision using them? Do you envision having a fine art luxury linen album? Or do you imagine having some portraits, beautiful portraits or canvas or metals on a spot in your home that you've been looking at that's blank that you want to fill up? And that triggers them to start thinking about that. And then once they say, oh yeah, that sounds great. Then I say most clients come to us for that. And then I ask them, was there anything in particular about my work that stood out to you? And that tells you if they're familiar with you, if they're familiar with your studio, or if it's like a blind lead. And it also tells you how warm they are on a scale from 1 to 10.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know a lot of people are just like, this could probably be impossible for them. It's just not. Describe what it was like, I don't know, the last 2 months, because you kind of had a lot of this and maybe you weren't like as like hyper focused on the follow-up. Yeah. Just walk us through that, like the chain.
Before I started Meet Nikki and this program, I was doing really well. I raised my prices and bookings were coming in, and I had a great 2022. I doubled in 22 what I did in 21. So I was confident that I could make those changes and do it. You need to really be able to hustle. You have to really like, you can't think, you just do. Like no thinking, just doing. If you get an idea or someone gives you a piece of advice and it works for them, like just do it. And that's what I did. So I got more and more advice, got it from you guys. And I just don't think just do it. And it just works. So plus it's also a numbers game. I mean, I don't know, right now, like 5 times more leads than I had with the previous person I was working with per month. So that's just in these 2 or 3 weeks. So it's a numbers game. So I think that covers it.
Yeah. And I will say, almost for those asking, almost all the leads are from Google. Newborn and maternity tends to be very heavy on like people searching for it and you kind of fulfilling the demand. So I do think that, you know, it is a little bit different beast than boudoir, where it might not have as much search intent. The other thing is you almost put no. Do you have another minute or no? You got to.
I have about 4 more minutes.
4 minutes. All right. You didn't put much effort into SEO. I know when we started, like your search rankings were a lot lower, and we kind of talked about that. Like you were like 50 in maternity, and I think like 30 in newborn.
Yeah.
And you probably haven't looked, but I've been like kind of like telling you every day. So yeah, have you done any SEO work since we started? You personally? No. So I did want to show just a little, like last thing I want to show was some of the things I've advised on the like over the call is like improving the website experience, right? For me and you, we've added a lot of products, mock-ups. You've been sending us video testimonials to add. I showed the thank you video that you had. But even without doing any crazy page SEO, I think your ranking from newborn went up like 30 to 7 just by doing those small changes. And then for maternity, you went from like 50 to 20. So
wow.
I know you had mentioned that, but I say that to tell people like one of the biggest factors for Google is like what the experience is on your website. They want people to have a good experience. So when you focus on what this whole call is about, like the user experience, making it easier for people to take action on your website, you're going to skyrocket, which, you know, 30 positions up on Google, and I think 23 on newborn in a couple of weeks. Like it's really, really good.
Wow. Yeah.
So what's next for you?
Like within the next month or the next 24 hours. I'm finishing my 5th shoot in 5 days. So I am headed off to Oak Park for a shoot. But what's next is, I mean, if the leads are keeping coming in, if it's going to keep booking, you just keep doing what I'm doing. And then I'm going to need help soon. So I'm going to need some help because the busier you are, you just need someone there to follow up. I can't be on my computer all the time or on my phone. So, and then just keep going. Yep.
And I would say just one last thing on damn it. So I was reading a comment and now I forgot.
Oh, I was just saying, you asked what was next for me. And I just said, just keep doing what I'm doing. Leads, following up with leads, timing, getting help.
Yeah. Yep. Completely escaped me. No, I was going to say, I think one thing that would help is, and this would be basically like me and Kristen having like a one-on-one client talk, is I think we need more, like maybe one new professional studio video, maybe like get like some B-roll, maybe like an interview with you. I'll send you an example and then we can break that up, put in different places and like just improve some of the assets. Cause I think right now, like the cost per lead is really low. I know before you're at like over 100 and now you're like $20 per lead. So I think improving the front end and just maybe adding some video would definitely help. So that'll be something that I'm going to ask from you. Okay,
that sounds good. Oh, and the next step is, after my wedding, which is in a month, it's a studio. I'm in my home right now and I'm ready. I'm outgrowing it and I want like a studio commercial space. So that's the next step and just keep growing. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for jumping on.
Okay, cool. Bye.
All right, guys, I have like 5 more minutes, but I'm going to get through this because I know we've been on here for an hour. Okay. By the way, Kristen, I love that about people, love working with people like that are like, hey, I need to just take action. I'm going to do it. and just do it and get feedback and then, change it if it doesn't work, but we try things. So why does all this work? And it's because a lot of people are not going to book with you immediately. Okay. So we have what are cheetahs, hares, and tortoises. Okay. So we have 3 kind of buckets for our leads. And right off the bat, 25% of people will never book with you. Like they never will. They inquired and like they're just not going to. I think there was like a huge study on like people going to trade show for fridges. And it was something like, over 60% of people bought over 2 years, but not everyone bought the first day. Not everyone bought the first month, and not everyone, bought in general. Okay. So your cheetahs, those are the like fast, hot action. They're going to book 0 to 3 days. And depending on your genre, right, you get some people that inquire about boudoir. They're just thinking about it, but they're just not going to take action. But some people are, they're just ready. It's been on their mind. They're go-getters and they just like take action. Okay. Or they take risks. Your hares, those are people that are going to book in like the 3 to 90 days. So they're not going to book immediately. They might not book on the first consult, but they're going to book at some time in the next couple months. And it might not even be with you, right? Because we're talking about you got to be the most recent contact when it's time. And then your tortoises, they're going to book after 3 months. And how do we get those people to book and what do we send them? Okay. A lot of us, what we do is our clients and our email list in our group is basically like, imagine it's like a cash register. It's like a piggy bank. And we make a lot of withdrawals. That means we send emails every month that say we're running a sale, join our contest, opt into my list, go follow me on Instagram. We're just asking them for a bunch of stuff. And people get pretty tired of that, right? Because you're just removing money from the vault and you're not depositing anything. So how do you deposit? How do you build that goodwill? How do you get them to like, know, and trust you? You got to make deposits. Number one, you can start on social media. It's completely free. My cadence, we actually do social media management for a couple clients now. We do daily posts, we do reels, and we do 5 to 10 stories a day. We start 40 conversations, Instagram and Facebook or more, but we start conversations. This is really where the bookings are going to come from. They're not going to just come from people passively looking at your content. You need to have conversations with them. We like, comment, share, reply, and basically send videos and video call the people that follow us or the people on our lists. Weekly, what you can do is you can also email sessions. You can email stories. You can send out tips, FAQs. You can send behind the scenes. Monthly, you can maybe write a blog. You can write a blog on a huge topic. You can write a blog on a client story. Quarterly, you can make Spark pages, you can do theme sessions, you can do how-tos, you can send out guides, PDFs. And even if you don't want to do some of these big quarterly and yearly things, just do the weekly things over and over and over again. That's going to be enough. Quarterly, you can send video recordings of you. You can just send video question and answers to questions from your group. Video, obviously people a lot of times do Facebook Lives as well. You can do an interview with one of your clients. You can do you can be interviewed by one of your employees. Quarterly, you can send an article. You can even forward articles. You can even forward just like recent news that's related, right? And just maybe share your thoughts on it. I suggest once or twice a year, you actually do some sort of get together. So you either get together with your past clients, tell them to bring a friend, you host some sort of event in your studio, and you get some sponsors in there, but try to do something in person at least once a year. Okay. And then annually, you can have like a new video. You can put together a magazine. You can put together something a little bit more chunky. But again, even if I'd rather you do the weekly things, if you're going to do any of this, do the weekly things. And you guys can write in the comments, which ones do you guys think you guys would do? Would you guys be more likely to do the weekly or more drawn towards the quarterly, annually things? To me, I suggest, I know it seems daunting, but to me, what's even harder is doing the annual things, right? Because it takes a lot of work to do. And the weekly things are just smaller bite size because, you guys have a lot of content, especially if you guys are shooting. That's why even if you're not shooting, I suggest doing like model calls and just sharing the stories of people that you're photographing. That's all you have to do is just document what you do. And you'll realize that like, you're not doing anything special. You're just, you're just documenting what you're doing. So it's not much work. And then you can ask for your business, do like a direct, hey, like ask. You can do a sale 1 to 3 times a year, right? Maybe Mother's Day, Black Friday, Valentine's Day, right? You can pick a couple of them, but the more value you send, then the more content you can do. Someone asked, do you do live video per day? I don't. You absolutely can. Some people do, or at least once a month. Okay. After the consult, if you get on a consult and someone doesn't book, what you want to do is you want to send some sort of follow-up, and you want to set a date for when you're going to follow up. So if you ask them, hey, can I tell you a little bit more how you can book your session? You go through your spiel, you present it, and you say, I can take payment with any major credit card. How would you like to pay? And they say, hey, I have to think about it. You get through all the objections. At the end, you say, perfect. I completely understand. I'd have to talk to my husband too. So I'm going to call you tomorrow at 12 p.m. Does that work? Or the same time? But you have to set something in stone, put it in a calendar, update their little session they just had with you, and send reminders to them. Okay. And you can basically keep sending, you can send a tailored email. You can send automations that just trigger when you do this. But you can manually write this, or you can kind of send, just an automation, send video testimonials, send FAQs. And then, you're going to get ghosted by some people. They're going to tell you, yeah, I'm going to pay. And then they're going to say, no, don't take it personally, right? People have things going on in their lives. They have somebody yesterday told me that their house was like flooded with like sewage. You just never know. Don't take it personally. Just call them back, once every month or every 2 months. Okay. And then you're going to invite them to a personal in-person consult. So if you have a studio, one thing I like to do and suggest that you do is maybe a week after, just call them and say, hey, Barbara, I was just calling to see, I'm in this area. I wanted to see if you can meet up, or if you're in this area, you can come into the studio. I'd love to chat with you. Okay. So another good way, in-person consults are not dead. I prefer you do phone because they're obviously a lot faster, but you can kind of use that as a backup. Hey, I know you're completely on the fence, come into the studio, bring your husband in, especially if it's newborn and maternity. Okay. That'll probably help. Who gets the clients? The person who contacts most recently after purchase intent, and the person who contacts most frequently in a persuasive way. That's why I've given you guys that list: stories, testimonials, case studies, valuable information, answer all the FAQs, answer all the objections that people might have. Okay. And I suggest you have 70 touch points per year. So when somebody knows about you, I want them to basically hear back from you at least 70 times per year. But I'm going to show you how to do it 400 times. And you might be thinking like, what the hell? I only reach back out once a year, right? And I'm going to show you how to fix that. Okay. So you can send hopefully at least one email weekly, or at least once a month. That puts you between 12 to 52. You can text 3 to 12 times. Right? That puts you at anywhere from 15 to now 64 touches. We talked about the calls. Now that puts you at 21 to 81 touches. And then posting and being consistent on social media, right? They'll see your stories. They'll see your posts. That could add another couple dozen touch points where they just kind of see you passively. Retargeting ads, super powerful on Facebook, especially some of the genres, especially like maternity and boudoir. You can't really do retargeting on Google ads. You probably can, but it'll very quickly get taken away in most cases for sexualized or like personal health issues. But retargeting ads, absolutely, for basically every other genre, Google ads, but definitely Facebook ads at least. You can always mail people, right? Especially your past clients and then your in-person events. To me, doing an in-person event, that's the equivalent of if you meet somebody in person, that's the equivalent of 10 emails, right? All at once, because now they see you, they see all the social proof of other people meeting you. Just a good thing to do. Okay. And then the end result of this is that hundreds of people know you, respect you, and trust you. And when the time comes, right? Somebody might inquire with you about newborn session or boudoir session today, but they might not do it. You might stay on your email list and you're just kind of always in the back of their mind when that topic comes up. They might refer you, or 3 years later when they have the next child, or when there's another life event and they want to do a boudoir session, you're the person that they think of. Okay. If you're just relying on booking all of the most recent leads, hey, you're 5 leads from this week, That's not as much as the person that gets the same amount of leads and books from that pool, but also books from like all their past people that have inquired. Okay. So that's why it's so important. Those leads are not dead just because they didn't book. You have cheetahs, tortoises, and hares. Okay. And the trick, you have to be interesting, helpful, consistent, and organized. Okay. You need to use stories to convey your message, and you need to answer the real objections people have. Okay. Just think to yourself, when somebody's sitting at home and they're about to go to sleep and they're thinking about a boudoir session or a newborn session, what real issues are they thinking about? What would hold them back from booking? Is it their size? Is it that they don't know how to pose? Is it that they usually hate photos of each other? How can you help answer those things? To me, the best way, I'm not like the best copywriter in the world. I can't just like make up a scenario and just convince people. I just tell stories. And if you guys are on my email list or the high rollers or even our posts, you'll see I share a lot of stories. And that's why I shared Kristen's story, because it's really easy for me to just say, hey, you should do this 100%. This will happen. But the truth is, it's easier for me to tell it through a story, right? Okay, so the old way, leads come in, email them once, and maybe we call them if we're not scared, compared to the new way, right? And we've talked about how to transition your business. And again, you can do this all manually as well, okay? But I want you to be certain when you call people. I want you to be certain in your follow-up. They have raised their hands and said, I want to work with you. I want you to be warm. That person on the other side, they're your prospective client. They're usually always right, even if they're not. And don't take anything personally. Okay. Be easy to work with. Kristen said she accommodates people. Just be understanding. Everyone's going through different things, and some people are going to be nasty, but you don't have to be. Don't take it personally, right? If they're nasty with you, like, what do you think their family's going through, right? Like, you don't have to deal with them every day. Just chalk it up to that's just how they are. It doesn't impact you personally. And you need to have lighthouse consistency, right? Lighthouses, they go up, somebody mans them 24/7, and they're always there, no matter if their ship's coming in or not. So you need to do the same, whether people are booking or not, whether you have 1 lead or 20 leads, you need to constantly reach out to new potential clients. You need to consistently stay in touch. Okay. So we talked about it, the thank you pages, the 3 areas of focus, the withdrawals and deposits. If you guys, I don't know. Would you guys want the deck for this? I might also do a Q&A for this, but do you guys want the deck for this? That way you guys have the list of things. And yeah, hopefully I'll post the deck for you guys. Okay. So question and answers. I don't know if I can, how would I do that? Q&A. Let's do Q&A. I don't know why it's not loading. All right, let's do question and answer. I'm going to go through some of these. And if you guys signed up for this, I'll email you guys the replay. And I don't know what's going on with this. My internet's still working. Can you guys still hear me? Maybe. I don't know. My page is not working. Okay, so let's go through some of the questions. Okay, my boudoir giveaway ads had great results until I get them on the phone and they tell me they can't afford the experience. Seems like doing a giveaway is attracting 3 people. Okay, for this question, yes, there are certain degrees of like quality of leads, right? Like if you offer people like, I mean, you can imagine, right? Like you're sitting by your phone and you're offering some sort of service. Let's just say like headshots. And you have a Google ad SEO, and people come and like inquire on your website because they typed it into Google. Like, absolutely. People are going to, they're going to be a little bit more interested than you going to like a school and doing like free headshot giveaway. But you're going to get a lot more leads from the second one, right? They're going to be lower quality. So there are some things you can do, right? You can like adjust your pages, maybe put like minimum purchases on it, maybe use more videos, show more of your products. So people kind of just see the elevated expensive experience. So you just kind of like subliminally kind of message that. So I do think that that is something you can do to improve that, but you're just going to get lower quality. It's more volume. But you just got to live with that, right? Get them on the phone, figure it out quickly, and then get them on or off the phone if they're not. Okay. Does this work in Europe? I mean, why not? there are so many people that, there's exceptions for different countries, but I haven't seen that. I've seen this work in Great Britain, Germany, Australia, Canada. I can't say much about like South America or South Africa or like Asia. For some reason, I don't know, we just don't get that many people in the group. But I haven't had many clients from there. But anywhere else, I'd say yeah. Okay. Do you think Facebook ad is better or Google ad? Do you suggest to email with video to each inquiry? I mean, if you have the time, I mean, you definitely can do personal videos. There are ways to like automate it nowadays where like with AI, it'll like change the name that you say, but you can have like one video and then like change the first sentence of it. Okay. Facebook or Google ads depends. If someone told me, hey, you are going to have like 10 consults right now, and they said, you can pick, they're from a Facebook ad or they're from Google. Depending on the genre, I might usually say Google. Just because, yeah, those people were like search intent first, right? Like you can absolutely generate interest with Facebook ads, especially in something like Boudoir. So just depends. I mean, it doesn't matter, but they're both going to get you leads. One might get you more, but lower quality. One might get you less, but higher quality, and they cost a lot more. So it's really just kind of a mixed bag. Okay. Craig says, I need this meeting. I'm already asked. Do you recommend calling your leads on the phone? Yes. The whole training is about calling your leads. Okay. What are the best ads to offer for Facebook ads versus Google ads? What is the best ad offer for Facebook ads? Google ads, I mean, I do suggest having some sort of offer somewhere on your page, especially with like a pop-up, maybe in a site link extension, maybe something off of the session fee to get them to inquire. I'm not so focused on what your session fee is or what you're making up front. I'd rather you guys have sales sessions afterwards. And best ad, I mean, we do both. A lot of the studios we do like 50-50 budgets. Newborn maternity, they might do more like 95% budget on Google and like, it's more like 98% budget on Google and like 2%, unless they're doing some sort of like maternity model call, then we'll do, way more budget on Facebook ads. Okay. What would you say is a good budget to have for Google ads? A good budget, like for me, good budget is anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000. But this is what I always tell people. If you have $200 to spend, right? And you set it for the month and you're spending $200 and you book one session, your average is $4,000. You book one session on the 5th day. So you've spent, I don't know, how much is that? You spent like $30 to get that booking. Why would you not increase your ad spend, right? Because if for that 1 month you get like 3 or 4 sessions for that $200 or even if you got 200 sessions, you're paying $100 per session. Wouldn't you pay $1,000 for 10 sessions, right? Wouldn't you pay $2,000 for 15 sessions, right? Because those 15 sessions, if you have a high sales average, could be worth, right, $45,000 to $60,000 for you. That's why, like, I know it's super unbelievable, but like almost all the studios we work with are like in that range, right? Like they're definitely making over 20. They're usually like 40, 50, 60. We have some making $100,000 a month. And it's because of that. Like they know the value. They're spending $2,000 on ads, and somebody might like gasp at that, like, oh my God, $2,000. And like, yeah, but they're making 100 grand a month, right? So it just all scales. Like, when does it start to diminish? Okay, how do I determine? I mean, that's personally up to you, but I suggest like you need to be getting a return. And I test things. I try to do things as best as possible. I focus on like the page experiences. I focus on the social proof. I focus on the copywriting. I focus on the images. You guys saw like Amy's ads. I don't even know what happened to my Google Chrome. It's dead. Let me see if I can activity. Yeah, my Google Chrome is dead. By the way, I told you guys, I don't have anything to sell to you guys. I don't even have a link. I don't have any like slides. If you guys want me to sell you something, I will, but I don't really have anything to sell right now. Let me pull this up. Amy, who are Amy? Let's see what other questions we have. Q&A. I answered almost all the Q&A, I think. So I showed you guys for like, for Amy, like we're about to start Google Ads, but we had to like work through, set the site up properly, get, all calls to action. Like we drastically revamped this. And I wish I could have had Amy on, but super busy, but at least she let me use her site. I messaged her before that. But for her, we might set it to $500 to $800 for Google Ads and then scale it. Like if it's working, if we talk to them and they're like, hey, this is spending. So to determine your budget, it really comes down to like, what's your return, right? If someone, I see it a lot of times, right? Like people don't have their messaging down. They don't have good work. They don't have good copy. They don't have good work, anything that differentiates them. They just spend all this on ads. And now they blew through like $600 and they've made zero. And then they just say Facebook and Google doesn't work. But you guys could see just the quality difference between like Kristen's site, Chris Connolly. I showed you guys Amy. Like it's a world of difference, right? And then they're focused on the follow-up. So need to have your ducks in a row. Even if you guys join any of our masterminds, you guys will see like focus on tracking, focusing on setting up all our systems, and then we run ads, right? There are some campaigns that you can get away with, like, Body Love Project, model calls and stuff that you can like get away with not doing all that legwork. But yeah. Kristen's website, Kristen Melito Photography. This is for Dara. She's in Chicago. Okay. Are there any posts that would be, oh, damn, I forgot about that. I'm supposed to show you guys that. All right. Let me actually, you cannot minimize Zoom when you are recording. Okay. I'm going to show you guys some of those text messages. Okay. Umberto, thank you. It's been great. I got to go. Awesome. Thanks, Bruce. Miri says, I use Pixieset for my website. Don't love Pixieset. Would you submit? I don't know. I hate some of these like beginner, all in kind of like photography focused ones. Me personally, I like Show It. I like Squarespace. I like WordPress. I'm even going to try Webflow. I'm not in love with like Pixieset and like Pixify and some of these like other, like, I just kind of put them in the pool of like super beginner, like not much control over mobile. Even PhotoBiz, I used to hate, but now has actually gotten pretty good. So PhotoBiz is like the lowest beginner like thing. And all of Kristen's websites done on PhotoBiz. I've actually had quite a few clients on PhotoBiz. So I would recommend PhotoBiz. Let's see. Oh, I'm supposed to show you guys the text messages. Okay. So let me show you guys what that would look like. And again, you guys can, do this as you guys want. Let me post this. Okay. So let me show you new inquiries and, where is this? Quick follow-up. Okay. So I love this text message. So I like sending an image first. So straight up just sending an image like from Canva that kind of has like your brand name and like maybe your location and tagline. If you're using Meet Nikki, you upload your image and then delete the text. That way it goes out with any text. And then 10 seconds later, we send a text. And all it says is, hey, Barbara, this is Karen from Karen Photography. I received an inquiry. Is this the right number? A lot of people respond to that. If they don't book, then we go and we, send more text messages. More text messages. I try not to send links in like the first couple text messages because they can get blocked. So just keep that in mind when you guys are doing that. Okay. Had one client book on a consult. She said she thought it was free and hung up on me. I mean, whatever. She hung up. Angelina. Oh, I just ditched that. This was great. Gotta go. Okay, gotta go. All right. What about Zenfolio? Yeah, I'm putting Zenfolio definitely on the Pixieset list. But yeah, honestly, you guys don't have to use this. I recommend just texting them as if you're messaging one person manually. So just imagine someone inquired, like, what would you text them? But you guys can screenshot those. I'll send you guys the replay. If you guys are on this, you guys are definitely getting the replays. I'm not going to sit here and copy and paste all these. If you don't have a VIP group, just get rid of that one. This one usually works really well. You can even send it like, hey, hey, first name, is everything okay? And just leave it at that. I actually kind of like that better without this. Hey, is everything okay, Brandon? Whatever the name is. So pretty easy. I think this one's mainly for boudoir, bucket list. And this one gets a lot of replies, almost, man, a lot of people. If people aren't replying to the other ones, just getting something that says like, hey, are you okay? It's going to work really well. You don't even need to put your name in there. Just get them to reply. Okay. But yeah, someone said, are you interested? Are you still interested? Works. I would say that that's kind of in line with that. Okay. So Dara, hopefully that helps. By the way, I am going to provide for you guys. I have this list of 100 email subject lines. Let me see if I can find it. 100 email subject lines that you guys can have. Okay. And I'm even going to show you guys that like one of them, I mean, it got so many bookings. I think one of these emails, if you guys know me, you guys have probably seen this. I shared this last week, but you guys are here now. So I'm going to share it with you guys. So here's 100 subject lines. You guys can copy this, whatever. Okay. But this line right here, are you busy April 15th? I mean, this one by itself booked like over 10 sessions for one photographer, and it got like 60 replies. So we just sent an email that said, subject line, are you busy April? I think it was April 22nd. Are you busy April 22nd? And then the details were like, hey, I'm doing this special session with this style picture. If you're interested, I have 5 spots. Reply to my email with your phone number and I'll tell you how you can book. We sent this on a Friday, got like 63 replies. We got so many replies that like the person couldn't answer. She said, just send them a PayPal link. We set up like a shitty PayPal link for 99 bucks, sent it to everybody with like a sentence snippet and said, hey, pay this and then we'll talk. We got over 10 bookings and completely filled up her little mini sessions. So it's a good example of an ask. The reason these are so good is because these are meant to like tell stories, right? So you can see like, did you see this? Put your story in there. What do you think? Ask for an opinion. Bethany just said this. Review. What do I wear? FAQ kind of question. Hair and makeup. Details about that, right? You 5-star review. Share that. Jessica just said this. Are you free? Guess what happened today? Tell a story. All of these are meant to tell a story or provide value. Why Kelly cried today? Like, who's not going to open these? So you're going to get really high open rates with these. So yeah, inspiring story, the perfect accessory. These are just prompts. So I don't even need it. I mean, I can't tell you guys what to write in every email because every single studio is different. You guys have different personalities, but the thing you guys can share that's unique to you guys, that's pretty easy, is just use the stories from your clients and stuff. Okay. And it's pretty easy, right? Because you'll get this template from me if you guys do use Meet Nikki. We'll help you onboard. We'll help you get set up. We'll give you a phone number. This also records your calls.
Does the beat take you over? You just can't breathe.